Okay, Lynn's practical pleasure, what do those words mean to you?
Morgan, that's a loaded question.
I guess for some women and men, it's probably having a device that can give you pleasure, but mow the lawn at the same time.
Well, I think device is a bit of a tenuous word to use there, Morgan, but I get where you're going. You're talking about cars, and obviously in reference to the brand new DS3, which is all about practicality, but it's more than an A to B car.
Absolutely. I mean, for this car, for me, it's a car that has to fit in seamlessly into this modern world of cell phone tech and phone applications and funky designs of skins and fins, and it's sort of tailor-made for this. But of course, it looks nothing like the legendary avant-garde DS of the past.
The original DS didn't look or drive like an ordinary car. In fact, the motoring public took a while to get used to it, and initially it didn't sell very well. Maybe that's why Citron markets the new DS3 as fashionable and desirable, because even in South Africa they're aiming for the mini market, looking for sales of around 50 cars a month. That said, all headlights turned at the 3's recent launch, as motoring scribes were ferried between Citron's headquarters and Melrose Arch in a brace of gorgeous vintage DS's.
For me, I think it's kind of creating its own territory rather than just sort of pissing on the old one. And maybe it's a way of saying, well, yeah, it's very different. And you know, the older DS was obviously a huge statement, a visual exclamation.
Absolutely, but also technology-wise as well, with the whole hydraulic suspension. It was something really new.
But does this have what it takes to live up to the legend?
Let's go find out. As we were going to sample the 88 kilowatt 1.6 litre VTI version first, I thought it would be safe to let Morgan get behind the wheel and give it his traditional wheelie. Suspension-wise, the DS3 gets McPherson struts at the front and a torsion beam out back, which, together with recalibrated steering and dampers, make for an involving drive, even in the entry-level model. Sitting inside the 3, this new DS scores highly in the interior design stakes. This is the top of the range we're looking at here, but she's well spec'd and plush across the board. With triple cone instrument cluster, piano black finishes on the dashboard, and soft touch materials, the cockpit is a visual and tactile pleasure. Features like cruise control and an MP3 compatible stereo are standard across the range. And if you go for the sport model, you'll also get these figure-hugging leather seats, as well as rear parking sensors and Bluetooth connectivity. Despite being under 4 meters long, the DS3 is genuinely roomy inside, with seating for 5 adults and a useful 285 liters of boot space. So Morgan, we know we like the interior. It's very funky and distinctive. What about the outside? What do you think?
Yeah, that's the thing. I know they've said don't compare this to the past and we want to create our new history and all of that. But to me, this is just not avant-garde enough. It's one thing to say we're making our own history, but I think when the history books are written, the old DS is going to have had a huge impact, and this is going to be like maybe 1 or 2 lines in the history books, really not worth mentioning. I
agree with you in some respects and not in others. I think it's very different, like you called it a Lego car earlier, because I mean it's got these odd panels.
The panels at the back, hey. Must be hell to have been doing that in tooling at the factory.
But I mean, it's different from that perspective, but it also looks a lot like the C3, which I'm not wild about the C3 styling. To be honest, I was really looking forward to this car because they'd positioned it as a mini competitor.
Sure.
And
it looks bigger, hey?
It looks much bigger.
I think that's the thing, is maybe the whole idea is to allow it to grow on people, but also they're making it, they're going for the jugular of Alfa Mito and the Mini Cooper, and that's making it customizable. All the accessories, the different roof colors, all the different packages, the chrome, all the kind of things
this
that you
is
can order.
Always going to match your roof. We've got the lovely zebra roof here, and it comes with all the polka dots and various different things like that. And you've got the chrome styling here. So yeah, it's definitely very customizable. It
stands out.
It does stand out. Look, it does have some very, very nice elements. In parts, it's great. I mean, I think these lights are beautiful, very nice. And even though it is a Lego part, I mean, I like parts of it, and I like the idea behind it, but just some things not quite gelling from the outside.
Look, maybe it's also this color. For me as well, I think it's, I like the fact that they're not just quirky anymore. It's not just kind of that typical French quirkiness. They've kind of graduated a level, I think, overall in terms of the package.
Mm.
So yeah, this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but they're taking on the Germans.
Well, also, the Mini's not everybody's cup of tea, and neither
Sure.
is the Mito,
Sure.
and neither is the Fiat 500.
Sure.
So it's certainly distinctive. There was no way I was letting Morgan have the wheel for this 115 kilowatt THP model. I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. Okay, big difference, Morgan. I know you haven't driven it yet because I took the wheel away from you.
115 kilowatts.
115, big difference from
Is
the
it
88.
worth the 55,000 rand?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
You could feel it. I mean, just when you started her up, you didn't even rev that, but it just sounded awesome.
It sounds better, and it's the torque that makes the difference as well. It's a huge difference.
What are
This
we
is
sitting
a
on?
really sporty
240
drive.
newton meters of torque.
240 newton meters of torque,
Yeah.
115 kilowatts. Definitely, I would go
That's
for this
great
option.
in this kind of size, this bundle.
Absolutely. And in terms of ride quality, it's got that nice kind of hard ride,
Yeah.
but not too hard. It's good enough to feel sporty.
Yeah, you want it slightly firmer anyway.
You do.
You see, for me, Citron's really been a revelation in recent years with their design, with their interiors, great fiery power plants. Hey, it just seems to me that they're building cars with a lot more soul than the Germans seem to do.
That is true. You know, you drive this car and you do feel like it's got a little personality of its own,
Yeah.
just in terms of the drive quality, which is where it's going to be spot on with its aim for Mini owners.
Yeah. Look, plenty standard features. We're talking ESP, you're talking 6 airbags. You've got gear indicators as well for changing
6
up or
gears,
down.
6 speed.
This is
And
the
that
six
also,
speed.
that we agreed, we loved
Notchy,
the
nice.
gear change, yeah.
Very
stunning.
precise, nice gearbox.
And the steering wheel is nice and fat, it's sporty, it's small. I mean, I think they've really got it spot on in terms of the drive with this car.
Look, when it all comes down to it, what do people want in cars? They want choice. You've got the Techno pack, you've got the design pack, you've got 38 different ways that you can dress up your DS3. You've got 8 colors that you can choose for the alloys. You've got 3 different types of seat trim, and that for me I think is part of the attraction. You know, plus all the different kind of roof skins that they've got going.
DS means goddess, apparently, in French. And that's where the goddess is in this car. All that quality and attention to detail is in the drive because it just feels so tight. It's like everything is together. It's got that wonderful German feel to it, dare I say.
So it's a German-French car.
Oh,
Finally,
they'll love
the
us.
French have scored a victory.